Don't even get me started on Incredible Crew. That one's actually a genuine hidden gem. But here's the thing, it only works if you're like 12-ish or something like that whenever it came out. And you're also watching it as it's airing, because it's context sensitive, it's time sensitive, and the times, like, sketch comedy has changed. Or at least it hasn't actually changed, but the mainstream style of, like, the level of cringe that jokes have has changed. Because you got to take into account, like, this was not only taking inspiration from, like, the comedy of whatever was going on in the schools at the time, or like YouTube, or which was really popping off and taking over television, but also like other things on television, like sitcoms and things like that. And sitcoms is like all that stuff, like Seinfeld and all that garbage. It's people take that stuff so seriously. It's like normie NPC brain rot that they're proud of, and they go, this is the more sophisticated thing. Yeah, they have to put a laugh track in here to tell me when to laugh, because I don't actually know real comedy and I just want to be told when to laugh, and not actually think for myself or have any standards or actually look out for any, try to find anything that's actually funny, and specifically seek out that piece of media and watch more of that. No, I just want to, like, turn my brain off and just be told laugh and then pretend like I'm living a funny life, So to see sketch comedy at the time, I don't even know if they knew that they were doing this, but they were tackling this, like, tackling, it sounds like it's an issue, but they were making a mockery of, like, these styles of shows that took themselves so much more seriously, all these adult shows, like Friends and stuff like that. Pretty sure the Electric Company is known as being, like, really good, but I never really watched it like that. From what I remember from seeing, like, clips of it and things like that, it doesn't hold up for me, for, like, my generation, because I was like 10, 12-ish when The Incredible Crew was airing. So, and the Electric Company is obviously older than that. All that as well is a bit older, and I remember some of that. That one actually doesn't hold up. But it holds up a little to me because I look at it not just as entertainment, it's a social experience in a way, in a very antisocial world. Like, I got to see those actors grow up with me, kind of, The Amanda Show, unsurprisingly, it holds up today. Or at least I think, maybe I'm delusional, but I think it does. I haven't seen it in a long time. Maybe it doesn't, but I would venture to guess that it does. It was just good entertainment for what it was. But it wasn't the, like, eye-opening type of sketch comedy that Incredible Crew was. And So Random is very similar to Incredible Crew. These two shows are, like, they're the true contemporaries. They're the competitors to each other. So Random is obviously, you probably don't even know. People probably don't even remember these shows. But So Random was a lot more popular. The name of the show is the whole gimmick of both of these shows. They are meant to be like, you can't predict either of these shows. So Random and Incredible Crew, it doesn't matter who you are, how old you are, how knowledgeable you are, how you grew up, what time period you live in. You can't watch either of these shows and predict how the plot is going to play out. It's just not possible. They both had a similar gimmick, but So Random, first of all, it felt bigger, not only in the fact that it was more popular. It was more, I mean, you can gauge a show's popularity at the time by how many ads were shown of it, and there were way more. I don't know if I've ever seen an Incredible Crew ad. I think I just stumbled upon it. Maybe there probably were ads. There definitely were ads. There were ads for everything, but yeah, So Random felt like it was very heavily promoted, and it felt like a much bigger budget show. It felt like it wasn't just like a group of kids, like, just making skits being directed by, like, a couple of adults. It felt like a real, like, theatrical production, which it was. But I'm probably going to mention this a lot throughout all my reviews, not all of them, but like sporadically. Great art, like not just good art, but great art needs to in some way be consciousness raising for the people that are watching it. And So Random was not, it, it was fine, but it was not nearly as conscious or as like laugh out loud funny, which neither of them were like laugh out loud funny, but it didn't feel as like inviting to join in and have fun with them, to live vicariously through them, you know? Because that's what struck me. That's what struck a chord with me when I was little, is the old school YouTubers who would break a mold that like, you know, they would go out with their friends in the streets and things like that in ways that like people just aren't doing today, and they would come up with some crazy, ridiculous, stupid, totally random like skit idea, and then just go like full force, like wholehearted, complete innocence, naive. They don't understand that people are going to judge them for how cringe they are. They don't understand that what they're doing is actually very amateurish. They think that they're, you know, top tier filmmakers. Like, it's that beginner stage when you don't really know anything about film, and now nobody even goes to that beginner stage because they see so many video essays and so many analysis videos, and everyone's got to be like professional and everything like that. But it's that naivety that you go in and you're like, oh, dude, I could be the next, you know, Martin Scorsese. Like, this is as good as what he makes, you know. And you're watching back your video and you're like, yeah, this is as good as what he does. How could I not be as famous as him after this? And you make those kinds of skits and you give it your all, like that passion. You're not going in there and half-assing your performance, even though you know nothing about performing. It is pure passion, and that like heartwarming, you know, grounded, down to earth style of creating skits, creating sketch comedy, and just having fun, just creating, you know, being directed to do something utterly ridiculous, and actually like everyone's on the same page about this completely ridiculous thing, and you all go all in on it. That felt more inviting and more personal and more connected to me in Incredible Crew than it did in So Random. So Random is Incredible Crew is unpredictable in that it's creativity of like, they play into the fact that they're breaking the mold. They play into the fact that like a lot of these sketch comedy shows are just doing sketch comedy because they like sketch comedy. They don't realize that what they're really doing deep down is kind of creating a sort of optimism for the youth of like, hey, look, we're adults and we're having fun, and we're just doing a bunch of stupid shit and, you know, making mistakes. And that's really beautiful when adults create, like, because they definitely knew, we didn't know when watching it. We didn't know that when we look back on it, when we think about it, if we rewatch it, that we look at it as like totally cringe, because it is now, because times change like that. But the adults who were making it knew that it would be cringe. They knew that in the moment, but they still chose to make it. That's respectable. And by doing that and going, hey, it's okay to be cringe, like it's okay to make mistakes. We'll make mistakes even as adults, so, you know, don't be so hard on yourself. It's okay to make mistakes, and it's really not that big of a deal. Life's really not that serious. Even us, with all this money and these resources and this ability to broadcast, like, we're not even taking this serious, and we're just taking risks and having fun and trying new things. That creates such a powerful and influential level of like freeing like autonomy in the minds of the modern day youth, whose like biggest barriers in their life will be the mental glass ceilings they put on themselves. The mental barriers is not going to be like, oh, you're going to struggle to do these things and you're going to be stuck in this position. Like, no, it's all mental struggles. And to be shown every episode like, oh, that's like, you can do that, that's possible, because you know your personality is being developed as a kid around that age, so you're kind of seeing like, oh wait, I was being so hard on myself, thinking so self-conscious about this thing that I did, and I embarrassed myself at school. But these guys are doing a thing that's even more embarrassing, and they're just laughing about it. Like, you can do that, and then the next episode they push it even for, oh wait, you could do that. I could develop my person. I could be funny in this way, and it's mind expanding. It's eye opening. It's consciousness raising for particularly my generation, and that was really cool. That's what made it so unpredictable. It's because other shows weren't doing things like that. And sketch comedy does this naturally. So Random, on the other hand, was random in the Eric Andre type of random, where it's like you genuinely didn't know what was going to happen, because like you didn't know, because they like used some random word generator to develop their script of like random word. Oh, let's have this be the next thing. You know, it felt like forced randomness, which it definitely was. That was the gimmick. That was the name of the show. They knew what they were doing with it. It felt more industry plant, even though I couldn't put it into words back then, and I wasn't as clear on what it was. It didn't feel as genuine to me of entertainment. And you know, like, you know, when the iPod came out, and or any app that had any sort of music library, and there would be a shuffle, so it would play the music randomly in that library or that playlist or whatever. Early computer algorithms for phones and all that stuff, they would have a kind of pure, not, you know what I'm saying, because you can't have that pure randomness with computers, but maybe quantum computers actually, but you know what I'm saying. But they had in essence, a pure sort of randomness, but and it was very random. But people would complain that it didn't feel very random, because we, as human beings, have we are organic creatures. We have a built-in sense of randomness and RNG intuitively within us. So you have to kind of counteract that. So the iPod and other companies adjusted the algorithms to actually be a little less random, and that accounted for it, and now it feels more random to us. So Random as a show felt like the early rudimentary simple formulas of like, oh, I predict something very random and unpredictable is going to happen, and then something falls out of the sky, you know, like that's what it felt like. It didn't feel as random, and like it felt a little forced. But I don't want to. This is so tricky. All these shows that I've mentioned, Amanda's Show and all that, and whatever, Electric Company, and So Random as well, none of these are bad shows. Well, that might be bad when I'm thinking about it. It's hard to tell. When you're when you're a kid, they're all good shows. But I don't want to mention all these shows and then like just say one thing about it and you're like, oh, that's what the show is. Like, these are all good shows. They are all made with better intentions than the shows that are made today. It's just some of them are stronger and weaker than others, if that's the right way to word it. I would love to make a video essay on this one day of like acting and role play, and how you shouldn't even take acting so seriously, because it is acting and you can act like an actor that's acting. When I just say the word acting, the word starts to lose meaning, because what I really mean is like role play. It's identity in a way. The like Gen Z identity crisis is the issue that I want to tackle with this video essay. But when people are willing to just play pretend rather than imagine themselves, to like delude themselves to thinking that they have ideas rather than the ideas have them, and they try to like further some cause, some corporation or whatever. I love the old YouTubers who, I'm a big believer in the idea that the only way to truly be based is to accept the fact that you're cringe. It's like the wise man is the man who knows he's a fool. And I can't respect people who take life so seriously and try to remove the game from it. Like, we are, like, this is pretend. This is a game. This is role play. We're animals. We're animals that pretend to be something more. I don't want to get too deep into this right now. This is a conversation for a different day. And this is actually not really like one of the like major strengths. The major strength of Incredible Crew isn't, the biggest strength that it has is in its very childish, whimsical creativity that when you're an adult, you watch one or two episodes, you'll pick up on the pattern and you will start to realize where they go with it. And it won't be so eye-opening anymore. But when you watch it when you're a little kid, I would say 10 years old or like 8 to 12 years old, you watch this show, you absorb that creativity and you go, oh, if they can be creative like this, how much further can I push the things that I'm doing? It's inspirational in that way. That's the real value that the show has to offer. It's not like, oh, they were creative in this way. Cool, they came up with that. Now I know I can do that. It's also, wait, how did they come up with that? What was the thought process that even led to them being able to come up with that? Because I can't even see a situation where some person in their right mind could even think to go down that road of thoughts. So let me think outside the box so I can understand not new thoughts, but new ways of thinking, new ways of formulating thoughts. And as a kid, you can have that retroactive, like, you can have, I'm invoking Irma here, forgot what it's in the SAO review, forgot what it stands for. But you can filter out all the bad parts and just absorb the good parts, or just remember them. A good premised show with a bad execution is a good show when you're a kid. And that's really what this show is. It's just spamming nonstop. Here's another premise. Here's another cool premise. Here's another cool premise. The execution, it is completely in service of displaying new premises. And the actors themselves in it are like very self-aware. They're having fun. They're playing, they're, you know, making their voice in a certain type of way. It feels like they're just in theater class. That's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like a TV show. It feels like you're watching a bunch of theater kids in a pretty sophisticated theater class with a pretty big budget, and they get to play outdoors. But they're also having fun. That creates this kind of meta narrative where you're watching something a little deeper than the show. And it's the kind of narrative that's like an antidote to the blanket jealousy that exists online today with people that make comedy videos and their audiences. Kids today genuinely don't know, I sound so old, but they genuinely don't know about the time when it wasn't considered normal to be greedy. Like it wasn't, I hear the phrases people say all the time of like, oh, well, he's doing this to make money. I mean, and a business is for making money. I get it. But, you know, you shouldn't do it. I'm like, wait, what do you mean a business is for making money? Since when was that the case? Since when was that normal? Why did people just accept that? Businesses are for doing things, for putting something out there, for creating something. Money is just a means for you to do that. Since when was money the point of the business? And people are going to look at what I'm saying and they're going to go like, that's so weird. Yeah, because of the new normal. Kids today genuinely don't realize there was a time where people would just create and create and create with no expectation of making. There wasn't even a capacity to make money on YouTube until like what, '07, maybe '06. But for a couple years there, people were just creating just out of the love of it, and people would watch and they would get inspired and they would also create, not because they said, oh, this guy's making money from it, but because they said this guy's making other people laugh, and I want to do that. I don't want to make money to live comfortably for me to consume more. I want to make other people laugh, people who I will not even see, who will not see me. It'll be behind a screen. But I want to just have the knowledge that what these creators are doing for me, I'm doing for others. That's solely what would inspire people to create content. And it has been corrupted. Now every single person, no matter how passionate their motivation is, a piece of it will be corrupted because of the knowledge that they can make money from social media. They can make money from making comedy skits. And that kills the idea of treating life like the game that it's meant to be. It treats it like, oh, forget playing the game and having fun and you know, like playing fair and all that. Just win. It's all about winning. It's all about the destination, not the journey. Forget stopping to smell the roses. Just beat everybody else, you know? Now everything that's meant to be fun and something that you're not meant to be particularly good at, but you're meant to enjoy, has now become like a skill, and people are ashamed when they're not good at it. Like dancing, dude. Old YouTube had so many dance videos of like, that was the first Smosh video I ever watched. It was like 2006 or something like that. No, first was Food Battle 2006, and then it was somewhere along that was the Mortal Kombat like dance video, like in all the Mortal Kombat, like they're doing nothing, they're just having fun. And now all the dance videos on YouTube are like, you got to be a pro. I don't know if you know this, like rich girls will literally hire choreographers to make TikTok dances that they don't even make money from. They're just so rich that they live for that attention. They literally hire choreographers for it. It doesn't matter how good you are at that. It doesn't matter if you get 1 billion likes on a video. You will never have as much fun doing it with that intention for the likes and all that stuff as those old guys who just heard a piece of funny music. Oh, this is Sparta, and then just started dancing. You will never have even a fraction of that level of fun. And other people watching will also not get to have that level of fun because they'll be criticized and judged for being cringe because they're competing on the same platform as you. Like, these people are the basilisk. They ruined the game for everyone. And the game used to be so pure and it used to be so great. Make America great again, bro. I swear, dude, the older I get, the more I realize that, like, Republicans are right all along. I do have faith that, like, every great thing in the world that we used to be there and is now gone can all come back because it all exists in the youth naturally. Yeah, when you're very young nowadays, you're given an iPad, iPhone, whatever, if not by your parents, then by your school. So yeah, you're gonna have this idea in your mind very early on that dancing is not a lifestyle to be enjoyed, but a skill to be good at, and that's gonna ruin it for you earlier than it used to for us. But it still did get ruined pretty early for us. Maybe not at 5, but maybe like at 10 or 15. And you know, for the generation before us, it was a little bit later in life, and they got to enjoy their childhood a little more than us, and it kept on going. But you know, it's always going to be there in our nature from birth. And if you take a little pocket of society and don't give them iPads or iPhones, they will learn to enjoy these things again on their own without being taught to. So redemption is always there. Our opportunity to create a better world where everyone is happier. All it takes is one decision. All it takes is one day to turn things around and live in a better world. So I'm optimistic. It's not like it's going anywhere. It is a shame that it's gone. It is a shame that people live in so much fear of being embarrassed on the internet that they have to only show the best parts of their lives, and that doesn't show the true parts of their lives, and they live an inauthentic life because they live for the internet, and they can't live with themselves because they're living an inauthentic life, and that drives all the people with truly good hearts to feel guilty and ashamed of their lives, and that makes people miserable. But besides all that, I still do hold out hope. Like, genuinely, I am optimistic about it, despite how I probably sound. I sound this way and I say these things to, like, make it clear, like, what the actual issue is. You can post some inauthentic, you can post a thirst trap online and get the likes and get the dopamine high, but at the end of the day, once the high wears off, which it wears off very, very quickly, you're going to be left like, oh, but I wish people liked me for the true me. Yeah, but you're not putting the true you out there because there's so much pressure. And the more you do this, the harder it will be for the people after you to put the true them out there into the world. And it was hard for you because people before you were also not being authentic, but you're only making it worse. And I like shows like this. All the shows I mentioned, I like them from this era because, especially this, like the sketch comedy shows, because they are like a time capsule. Even at the time, it felt like a time capsule. Even at the time, I'm like, oh, this is not today's comedy. Like, even, when did Incredible Crew come out? December 31st, 2012. Okay, so yeah. Program creator Nick Cannon, bro, this is how you know they had fun making it. It says cast, Shauna Case, and then the character she played, various. Tristan Pastrick, various. Jeremy Shada, various. Nick Cannon, announcer. Brandon Suhu, various. Chanel Peloso, various. Crump King, and then it says Seymour, like SEE space MORE, not like Seymour the name. Yeah, all the characters are playing various because they're all like they're playing into the fact that this is role play and that it shouldn't be taken so seriously. And that is a beautiful little time capsule that we can always look back to and go like, oh, that it was a these things are possible. It is possible to live in a world with like such fun and excitement and not judge each other so hard and feel so bad and feel so ashamed of like being cringe and trying new things. I'm not gonna say it's like my generation is we spent far less time being social than the one before us, and they spent far less time being social than the one before them, and you could just keep going and going and going. So I'm not gonna act like this show wasn't very like Nick Cannon is a sellout of a guy in almost everything he does. He the show was also very feminine biased. All of Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network and Disney and all that stuff, all those kids channels, they it wasn't totally pure. It was the executives were looking to make money. They did hire people who had family connections or people who were above average singers, dancers, actors, whatever. They did, play into like, okay, here's a particularly pretty girl who we're gonna have the kids appeal to. Oh, here's a particularly good looking guy who, is gonna be like the love interest of the girl. They did, have trailers for him. They dolled them up a little bit, made them look nice, make them wear nice clothes and all that. They did do all that stuff. There was a bit of corruption. It wasn't totally perfect and pure, but it's a nice time capsule to look back and think about. We legit got a glimpse into a possible future where parasocial relationships weren't a bad thing because they were handled with love and not like because people are just want to treat their audiences like they're just a bunch of numbers. And instead of everyone showcasing only the best side of their lives, they're actually being authentic with how they are online. We got a glimpse of that, which is why the content that I make online, I don't try to like doll up with anything. I just be as authentic as possible because I still believe in that future where these things that we consider to be so bad are not actually bad things. We just do them in a bad way. And I believe that we could change the way that we do things, where we prioritize the journey rather than the destination, where we say it's not so important to have all the views and the subscribers and all that stuff. That shouldn't be the incentive. The incentive should be to have fun and create something great that we can look back at and laugh and have great memories of. And the views and the subscribers and all that stuff is a plus if we even care about that. And actually nowadays most creators are not putting good messages out there into the world. A lot of them are trying to instill more fear and trying to instill more division, and because it's really competitive and pretty cutthroat now, and people get signed and all that stuff, and signing selling your soul. That's what that is. Putting down on a piece of paper that I will be subservient to the ink of a pen. That's an admission to the world that you don't have a soul. Geez, I don't want to sound really pessimistic. I know I want to tackle these issues. I want to talk about them. I get excited to talk about them, but I want to like make it clear. I'm happy about the fact that the show even existed, and it wasn't that long ago. And there's still a lot of great content out there. There's still a lot of content out there that you watch it, much better content than I make and all that stuff, and still very popular creators who you look at, like people like I Show Speed and things like that. You know that, oh, there's an element of realness to this guy. He's overplaying it because he's like admitting this is a character and he's having fun with that. And that's like the realest thing you can do. It's not a great show. It's the first of this kind of show that I'm actually reviewing, so I did give it a lot of props, but there's definitely better. It's incredible. It's not it's pretty good. I can see how the other ones may have been enjoyed more by other people, but this one, because of how short-lived it was and everything, and also when I was little, I only liked rap and hip-hop as like that was the only genre of music I actually liked, so or listened to. So yeah, I'm biased towards this one. And also I do think this one's a better use of your time to watch because the other ones lasted a lot longer. If you want to watch a show, you want to watch the whole thing. This one's really short. It looks like it aired for like 4 months. That's it. So probably one episode a week for 4 months. Number of episodes, there's 13 episodes. So you could watch the whole thing in a day. And I remember the episodes being really short. Okay, never mind. I thought it felt a lot shorter. 22-minute runtime. Very short, you get the point. If you watch this, a lot of the other sketch comedy shows become redundant. Best way to watch this is, you get your kids to watch it when they're like 8 to 12. If you're an adult and you want to watch it, which you totally can, and I don't say this with much certainty, but I think it still holds up if you watch it with the context of it's just a time capsule. You got to go in with the right expectations. Only like 1 out of every 5 sketches are actually funny, but that one sketch will be like, oh shit, like why didn't I think of that? That's so good. It's refreshing. It's refreshing to be humbled by such a wacky premise, and you real oh man, creativity truly is limitless. Watching the show, even though it's only 13 episodes, a lot of it is fluff, and I'd say like 60 to 70% of the show is actually pointless to watch. I think if somebody were to make like a compilation of only the show's best moments, then it would actually be like it would be a banger, like maybe 1 hour long episode of like the best skits that they have. If you end up making something like this, you really got to focus on the fact that like it's the beauty of the show is that they play into the cringe. They know it's cringe. They know it, and it shows, and they do it anyways. And that's what's so heartwarming and wholesome about it. Actually, no, we don't got much time, bro. Too many masterpieces to watch. So if somebody could make like a compilation of like 30 minutes, just a 30-minute long conversation of the absolute best moments. Ooh, there's a dark mode on Wikipedia. I don't know why that's not set to default. Just 30-minute long compilation, then that'd be perfect. And that's what I could like put in the description to like recommend to people. If you check the description and there's a recommendation in there, then that's what that is. Okay, bye guys.